Hey,
Thanks very much for being here. So firstly, Food ResQ, you're a year and how long into it?
yeah, about a year, just over a year, I would say.
Yeah, okay.
Year and a few months.
Yeah, I want to rewind to before our first conversation. You're working for obviously one of the larger retailers here in Australia.
That's right.
What led you to come up with this idea and want to do something about it?
Well, Otto, like I've been with around grocery retail for a long time, and every now and then I like to go out to our stores and get involved with our stores to understand some of the processes that we ask them to do. And this one particular day, I went out to one of our stores and I was following what we call a markdown process, where product that's near its expiry date or best before, we mark it down by a certain percentage, and then and we hope that it does sell. And if it doesn't sell, then in some cases we donate. In other cases, it just gets thrown out.
Yeah.
And I remember this one particular day, I was marking down bananas at one of our particular stores, and we deemed this product not suitable for sale.
Yeah.
And then I was just going through the motions, marking it down or writing it off. And then just as I was about to throw the bananas out, it occurred to me that just across the road from us was the New South Wales Housing Commission. And I had this thought thinking, I'm here marking down product, about to throw it out.
Yeah.
And there's people literally across the road that are facing financial insecurity, potentially going hungry today due to lack of funds.
Yeah.
And it kind of just occurred to me that, this food, though we've deemed it not suitable for sale, it's still consumable. It's still perfectly good to eat.
Yeah.
So it made me think about, what can we do about this? Could we partner up with some of our charities? So I actually started to get in touch with some of the major food charities across Australia.
Yeah.
And I ended up standing up a few trials with the retailers that I was working with at the time, and we had so much of success.
Yeah.
We donated, I think it was about 4,000 kilos of food within 6 weeks, which was enormous, right? And then as I was working with these charity retailers, I actually found some alarming stats that 2 million people went hungry in the last 12 months due to lack of funds. That was daunting to hear.
Yeah.
2 million people, Otto, went hungry due to lack of funds. It's insane. And then considering the amount of food that Australia produces, it was just wild to me that we're seeing those kinds of stats. So I started to think about, how can we make this work better?
Yeah.
And then in the trial that I did with some of these food rescue charities, we found that there were some gaps in the process. Customers didn't know what products were available, when it was available, where they could pick it up from. And so I started to think about, well, how can we make it easier for consumers? How can we limit the amount of product that we're wasting at store level and get it into people's bellies? And so I started to just brainstorm ideas, because putting my retailer hat on, I needed to make it work for the retailer. I needed to make it work for the community, and I needed to make it work for charities.
Yeah.
And so putting it all together, I came up with a solution, which is Food ResQ.
Yeah. Awesome. Love it, mate. I love that story. It's so good. Okay, so then I remember our first conversation so vividly. So you put together this sort of rough deck, which kind of went over it, the bits and bobs, what you thought, and basically just all the problems you'd seen that had led you to where you are at that point. So then we obviously started discussing Hyper, what we did within the market, how we help startups go from idea to where you're at now and obviously further. What sort of chose you to come across Hyper and obviously choose as compared to everyone out there in the market?
It was amazing, Otto, because I had no idea what I was in for. And I had never started this type of startup before, an app design using technology, and I didn't know the road ahead. So I was very clear in my mind that the team that I decided to team up with or partner with, they needed to know the road really, really well to help me navigate that path.
Yeah.
Also keeping in mind that, yes, we've got this vision of trying to stop food waste in Australia and support people going through financial hardship. But I also needed to balance family time. I also needed to balance full-time work as well. So I needed to have that flexibility. And I remember in our early chats, Otto, you stepped me through the whole process, the Accelerate process, what was involved, the support network that I'd have access to during that time. And for me, it was that human connection that Hyper provided, and you specifically provided as well. I think it was that understanding of, cool, you've got this awesome vision. Let's help you bring it to life. But let's not also forget about your family time. Let's not forget about your priorities with your full-time work as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really drove me to stick with Hyper. They had the expertise and the knowledge. They knew the pathway forward.
Yeah.
But it also helped me to balance life at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's what really called me to Hyper.
Yeah, 100%. That's amazing. But that's a big thing as well.
Yeah.
Because I speak to a lot of founders and they're like, okay, cool. When do I need to quit my job? Should I quit my job now? Tomorrow, next week? And it's like, no. Way too risky. Because, you've got a whole life, another family that you need to look after. So it's about building it up on the side and getting it to that point where you're like, right, I've really identified a solid opportunity here. I've got a startup. I've raised capital. It's now time to go all in on this.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the dream team around you.
Yeah.
Sam, myself.
Absolutely.
How was the Hyper Accelerate process? How did you find it?
It was phenomenal. I think the honesty was amazing. And that's what I really appreciated, because I remember one of my first conversations with yourself and Ursula. I think she used a quote from the founder from Canva, which was, you need to build this plane and fly it at the same time. And we're going to help you do it. Yeah. So I found that was really amazing, right? And I think what was really amazing was you just understood what was in my head. You asked the right questions. The team asked the right questions and understood my vision and what I was trying to achieve. And in my absence in some stages, I remember you were able to fill in the gaps because you understood the vision so well. Yeah. You asked the right questions. We got the right outcomes. Ursula was fantastic. And I think what's really funny, anyone that knows me knows that I'm a critical thinker. Like I overthink everything, right? And I'll think about things to the nth degree, right? Yeah. But what's really clear in this startup journey is you can't think about everything. It's impossible to do this yourself. You need a network of people around you to support you to actually bring it to life. Yeah. And that's what was really wonderful when I was working with Ursula and the team. She was able to bring ideas that I wasn't aware of and I wasn't thinking about. And I think that just comes from experience. Yeah. No, Ursula's amazing. Yeah, she truly is.
And it's crazy because obviously it's changed because of the validation, the conversations you've had. But the prototype that we built, the logo, the branding, the design of it, it's all pretty similar to the app that you now have fully built.
100%. Yeah, we stuck pretty close to it. Yeah. So we went through the foundations. We built the foundations of what Food ResQ is. And those are the elements that stuck with it right from day one all the way through. Yes, there was a little bit of manipulation here and there to get it to this point, but the foundations are all still there. I think I remember the dodgy logo that I drew beforehand, but Ursula was able to take that and go, oh, nice, but we can do that better. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. So we've gone through the Hyper Accelerate process, 3 months accelerating you from idea to now being a tech founder. You've got your prototype, you've got your pitch deck, obviously valuation, you're starting to have conversations. How did those conversations go?
Yeah, look, I think they've been really positive and overwhelmingly supportive as well. I think what we underestimate as founders is the value of what we're actually delivering, right? You always have that bit of imposter syndrome or self-doubt that, is this going to work? Is it not going to work? Yeah. But I suppose, you kind of just have to back yourself and go, you know what, I do have an expertise in the retail industry. Yeah. I'm also a consumer. I'm someone that would be a user of the application. I'm also experiencing the cost of living crisis that everyone across Australia is as well, right? And I've worked with the biggest charities in Australia. So I suppose in the conversations that I've had with potential users of the application in terms of business partners, it was just about getting inside their head and understanding what do they need? What do they want? Yeah. From a retailer's perspective, we're really interested in selling product. We don't want to lose money. Yeah. We don't want to write off product. We've also got some really clear sustainability goals to have zero food waste by particular dates. So it was all about just trying to understand what do they need? What are the retailers actually looking for? Yeah. And then putting my consumer hat on, going, as a consumer, what am I looking for? I'm looking for great deals. I'm looking at ways that I can save money on my grocery bills. And as a charity, it's, how can I get this food instead of it going to landfill? How do I divert this product that is perfectly good to eat and put it into people's bellies? Yeah, exactly. But I think everything you just said there, you live and breathe the problem. You understand the industry so well from all your experience within. And that puts you in the best position, I personally think, to be the person to do this, to solve this problem within Australia, globally. And I think that's why you had such success with the letters of intent
which you then went on to get.
Yeah.
Which was just like further validation and just like stamps of approval to I'm really onto something here.
Absolutely. And I think that's really encouraging as well, Otto. It just gives you that little boost of energy that sometimes that, it helps shut down that little bit of doubt that you might have in your mind going, is it going to work? Is it not going to work?
Yeah.
And having, going out and talking to potential users of the app at early stages is really, really important.
Yeah.
I remember the conversation, I think it was week 1 of the Accelerate program. You said to me, Donny, I want you to talk to everyone in your network. Just talk to everyone about it.
Yeah.
And then there's always this doubt because you always think, oh, what if someone takes my idea? What if it's, because it's new, it's not out there yet. And you always have that about you, but you were like, you'll never know unless you talk to people. I remember us having this conversation really clearly. And I was like, that's right. And, we just have to learn to back ourselves because if anyone's going to do it, you just have to back yourself to think, I am the best placed person to be able to land this.
Yeah.
I see the value. I see the vision. I know where it needs to go. I know what the users of the app are looking for. Yeah. And therefore, you are best placed to actually land it. So, it was that encouragement that I remember we had. I'm pretty sure it was week 1 of the Accelerate program. Yeah. It was like partnerships. It is absolutely key. And I can't deny that. That's absolutely true. Partnerships are the absolute key to success. And also the motivation to keep you going as well. Because the more people you talk to, the more confidence that you build behind what you're trying to do as well.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly. That's it. And like speaking to people is the only way it's going to get out there. Building a team, partners is so key because then you want to obviously unlock funding and do that. And you secured some amazing letter of intents trials with major retailers, like multiple different businesses, which you still have today, and it's obviously ongoing.
That's correct.
Which then gave you the confidence to be like, right, I'm going to get this developed. So talk to me a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think after the Accelerate program, obviously I left with some really good wireframes for the application, a prototype as well, which was really helpful when I was showcasing it to retailers around Australia. And it was really simple for me to be able to take that those frameworks and the prototype and show it to developers. And similar to when I was looking for the right partner, Accelerate partner in the beginning, I went through a similar process with developers. And I actually landed with a company called IQ Lance, based out of India. Shout out to the IQ Lance team. Krunel and Barvik have done an amazing job as well in partnering with Food ResQ to create the MVP with which we see today. So I think with the development process, it's really important to be really crystal clear with what we're trying to achieve. Be really clear on the vision and the structure of what we're trying to achieve, how we want our users to interact with the application, and then being able to clearly communicate that with our development team to bring that to life. And I think that what set us up for success through that process was the wireframes that were created from Hyper, as well as the prototype, because the wireframes are one thing, but seeing how it comes together in the prototype takes it to another level. And I think that that's what really helped with setting up the development for success.
Yeah, exactly. But it allows you to know that you're knocking on the right door.
Absolutely.
And then you show people and it's like, yes, this feature, this function I'm going to build out. Whereas if on our first conversation, I'd been like, Donny, let's just develop this straight away. Like so many mistakes would have been made. You would have got it built and then you'd have to go back and rebuild 50% of it, which comes as another invoice. And we just want to avoid that. And do things safely and like build the foundations before doing that, which is what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's pretty much built now. And then I remember a couple months ago, I remember giving you a call. We had a pitch competition in Bondi.
Yes, I remember.
And I think it was honestly like a week before. I gave you no time at all. I was like, Donny, there's a spot to pitch. I'd love for you to pitch.
Yeah, I remember that. I nervously said, are we ready? I don't know if we're ready, Otto. And you said I remember this really clearly. You said to me, you're more ready than you'll ever be. We need to just get in and get it done. We need to get it out there and let people know what Food ResQ is. And I couldn't thank you enough, Otto, because that push was what I needed to start talking about Food ResQ more publicly. And I remember it was our first, it was the first pitch that we had at the Bondi Shark Tank. And there was 4 incredible founders with incredible ideas. And, again, you go through that sort of self-doubt going, wow, these guys are amazing. How does Food ResQ stack up against something like that? And I remember beforehand going, how do we pitch it? What do we do, right? And I remember we were sitting down and I was telling you, we were going over the story of Food ResQ. And I was telling you the banana story, you know, when I was marking down the products, and you said to me, that's your pitch.
Yeah.
It's the story. Forget about everything else. Forget about all the structure that you typically go through in a pitch. Stick to the story.
Yeah.
You know, and we put together the pitch, and I remember we had a couple of practice rounds. At the Hyper office.
Sat in the boardroom, we practiced for like an hour or two.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then, surely enough, we went out to the Bondi Shark Tank. We had the judges, a room full of people. We pitched it for the first time. And I just remember the amount of engagement that we had throughout that pitch was phenomenal. You know, it was like almost validation live in person to go, you know, here's the app, would you use it? You know, and getting that feedback from the audience was fantastic. And to my surprise, we won. You know, we won the pitch deck, the pitch competition. So,
mate, it was so good. It was so good. I remember when you went off, like the lights all dimmed, and you had obviously the presentation behind it. But like, yes, you took people through the presentation, but it's exactly that. You told a story. And like, you feel that story, you understand it, people can relate to it. It hits like notes. And that's 100% why you won. And it's like the whole story is your experience behind it, and like how you're really solving this problem, and how much of a needed platform this is.
Absolutely.
Mate, that was so good to see.
I think that's what really surprised me, right? Because we were in a pretty affluent area. Right? Pretty affluent area in Sydney. So and it was a local crowd from what I understand. And when we talked about Food ResQ supporting businesses in reducing the amount of wastage lost to landfill, we talked about people saving money on their grocery bill. We talked about charities, supporting the communities that they serve. And it really resonated with the crowd. You know, they saw the value in being able to have access to marked down products, knowing when product is available, where it's available, how much of it is available. Knowing that there are discounts available and we can save on a grocery bill. Even in one of the most affluent areas in Sydney, they still saw value in it. You know, so I think that for me was reassurance that, you know, there is true value in this. It's something that Australia needs right now. It's something that our retailers need as well in a world where we are wasting a lot of food. And we can support the Australian community that are facing that, you know, food insecurity or financial insecurity.
Yeah, for sure, mate. Love it. And then, like I said, we completed Accelerate like last year. And then you've been doing all these things, working away, getting partners, winning pitch competitions, working away the development. We've got the app ready. It looks amazing.
Thank you.
Starting to test it. Like, how's that journey been, juggling everything? Because obviously at the start, you're like, I'm not obviously going to quit my job. You're going to carry everything on. Like, how's it been over the last year, juggling your family, your young family, your jobs, changing jobs?
Correct.
As well. Like, how's that journey been?
It's I'm not going to lie, Otto, it's definitely a challenge trying to juggle everything. But I think what's really important is maintaining a balance. Maintaining a balance is the key to the success here. I almost see it like one of my old line managers, he'll remember this as he's listening to this podcast. He told me there's times in life, you know, you have a piggy bank of work, you have a piggy bank for family, you have a piggy bank for yourself, and you have a piggy bank now for your startup. And every now and again, you need to borrow money from one piggy bank and lend it to another because it demands time from you. And I think using this analogy, it's really helped me because there's times where I've had to sacrifice my me time to put into my day job. There's times where I've had to sacrifice some family time to put into my startup. But the important thing is realizing and remembering that you've just borrowed that. It's only a borrowed amount. You need to put that money back at some point, and you need to find that balance back at the end of the day. So I think keeping in mind balance, so to make sure that you're putting enough time into your day job and your commitments in your day job. Obviously, I've got a young family, and making sure that we've got time with the kids and my wife. It's really, really important. Really important that you find time for yourself. You know, because amongst all of these commitments that you get pulled in all different directions, it's really important that you do have something for yourself, and that you do spend that time doing things that you love to do, getting away from all the demands of life and doing things that make you happy. And then, of course, the startup itself, it does demand a lot of time from you. But what's really important is having a network around you to be able to support you in that, you know, whether it's friends, family, a partner like Hyper to help you on that journey, to keep you on track. You know, I think that's really important as well.
100% to hold you accountable. But also, like, you need to, 100% what you're saying, you need to look after yourself. Because if you don't look after yourself, you're the one pushing this out there. You're the one behind Food ResQ. You're the one having all the conversations. And if you're not showing up for yourself, you're not going to be able to deliver it in the amazing way that you can.
Absolutely.
So that's what it's all about. Mate, you've jogged it amazingly.
No, thank you.
Like a year and a bit in, I know it's not easy, but the fact is that you've taken it by yourself, obviously with the support of Hyper and others within your network, to where it is now, and we're on the cusp of something really special.
I think so, Otto. I really do.
What's next for Food ResQ? Like, what are the plans in the next couple months towards the next year? Like, what do you want to achieve? Yeah,
so I think there's probably 2 major milestones within the next 6 months for me. I think that number 1 is the soft launch of Food ResQ. As you know, that we're at that end of development and we're about to go live on the App Store and the Play Store.
Nice.
So for me, it's the soft launch. So working with some of those key retailers that were early adopters of the app and really real advocates for it. So we'll do a soft launch with them first, test and learn, make sure that we're achieving what our users are expecting of us. And then slowly start to expand across Sydney. And there's some ties into Melbourne as well. So those are probably the 2 areas we'll start to expand in and then grow from there. The other thing that I'm trying to do on the side as well is we're going to be raising capital for Food ResQ. So over the next few months, we're going to kick off the capital raise process. We're going to raise some funds. We're going to build a founding team behind Food ResQ, and we're going to start to spread the love of Food ResQ across Australia.
Amazing, mate. I can't wait for it.
It's going to be amazing.
So, like anyone who wants to use Food ResQ, any investors, like, what's the best way to reach out to you? What's the website?
Yeah, absolutely. www.foodresq.com.au is the Food ResQ website. Or, of course, you can reach out directly to myself, Donny at foodresq.com.au. Otherwise, LinkedIn, Donny Naidoo.
Nice. Awesome, mate. Awesome. Mate, just before we wrap up, I'd love to get some advice from you to other founders out there.
Yeah, of course.
Who have an idea, they're working, they've either come up with it because of that job or it's just a completely random idea and they kind of don't know what to do with it. They're stuck. They don't know whether to bite at it. Like, what would you say to them? That'd be great.
Yeah, I think, look, the idea, no matter how great your idea is, it's only an idea until you act on it. And, we wouldn't be where we are today with Food ResQ if we didn't act on the idea. So my encouragement to all the founders out there, anyone who's got an idea that they're really interested in, is get in touch, have a chat to someone, speak to Hyper, reach out to Otto. he's here at Hyper, and I think that have a chat. Start talking about your idea, start acting on it, do something. I think back to the really early days, and I think about Nike. Just do it. Just do it. You got to do something, right? And if you don't, you'll never know. And that's what I didn't want to live with. When the idea came to mind, and I started talking to a few friends and family, and then obviously we got in touch as well. The idea of what it could have been, and then living with the regret later on in life of not knowing what it could have been, was absolutely daunting to me. I remember when I was working for one of the major retailers, part of our leadership training was thinking about, I remember this really clearly, I was doing a personal leadership course, and one of the hosts of the day said to us, I want you to think about your 80th birthday. Right? Think of the people that are around you. Think about what they would say to you on your 80th birthday. Think about, what are the things that you've achieved in your life, And it made me, at that point in time when we were chatting, it made me think about that exercise. On my 80th birthday, would I have regret for not have tried?
Yeah, exactly.
And for me, whether it's successful or not, I've got every hope in the world, and I'm absolutely confident this Food ResQ will be a success. But even if it wasn't, I wouldn't want to live with the regret of not knowing what if.
Exactly. That's it, mate. Well, I'm pumped for everything to come. Obviously, it's been a pleasure working with you and working with you into the future to get Food ResQ out there. So
I'm pumped as well, Otto. Thank you.
Let's go.
Appreciate it.